Hello everyone and welcome to Amias, or previously known as AD. With a new channel name, I also have a new type of content that I want to upload to the channel. Not a huge deviation to the content that I used to make in the past, but a slight difference. I still want to make more analysis, but due to the time constraints and the fact that I am currently busy with a multitude of different projects on different channels, I wanted to create a new different type of content that I'll be able to produce to you guys. And stuff that I want to make personally, obviously. And this new type of content is reviews. It's something that I dabbled on Twitter. Gave it a few tries to write a few, paragraphs to explain why I like the specific series and to why I rated it that specific rating. And I really enjoyed doing that. And I wanted to create it in a more professional outlook rather than just a simple Twitter thread. And so I thought, might as well just record something like this. There will be obviously a specific rating to the series as I go over different plots, developments, as well as characters, or if the plot itself is interesting, and just a multitude of different points that every single video will go over to identify a specific rating to the series that I'd be reading. The main focus currently that I will have is, for obvious reasons, manga, since I have 400 mangas planned to read, and I'll try to read ones that are completed. And then when I can, I'll try to do seasonal videos, obviously to rate the anime that came out in a specific season, and then try to deviate into anime as well, rather than just stick into manga. It all depends on what I feel like of making. I want to start with manga, and we'll see where we go in the future. This channel is something that I want to deviate. I don't want to have it be stuck into one thing. I want to try as much as I can, and hopefully you guys will enjoy what I come out with. Firstly, what I wanted to do, as I believe this is something that is very important for a review channel, is to explain every single rating that I'd give to a series. The rating system that I use is a 1 to 10, so the best thing is to explain each figure and what it kind of needs to meet a specific number. The slight detail that I have into each number is basically this. If a series gets a 1, it is basically unreadable, where every single aspect of the series is bad, with no personal likeness at all to the series, and pretty much a regret to watch it. And to give it an extreme aspect, it makes me want to gouge my eyes out. That in and of itself is what allows me to give it a 1 rather than a 2, compared to a 2, which is basically no good aspects and pretty much a failure of a series. Very harsh words, but that is what it needs to be a 2. And the difference between a 2 and a 1 is that personal, not hatred, but that personal regret into watching it or reading it. A 3 is bad, which is, there is, one good thing from the series, but there's a lot of very recognizable flaws that obviously doesn't make it a fairly, enjoyable experience to read. And then comes the 4, which is poor, essentially, which is there are some good things, but too many bad things that outweigh the good things that show up in the series. In a sense, it's pretty much a disappointment due to the potential that it has as a series. There's a lot of interesting concepts that they could have dived into, but they didn't, and that comes about with a disappointment, which is what brings about that 4. Bad execution, bad characters, all these aspects play into that. When I talk about some good things or some bad things, those things are plot, character, so on and so forth, themes, all of these aspects. And then comes the 5, which in every single platform is basically looked as the average for obvious reasons of it being in the middle, and it is basically being mediocre. For every good thing that the series has, there is one bad thing. Mixed experience and nothing really innovative or anything of the sort. It feels like a copy-paste in the genre, where it doesn't do really anything badly, but it doesn't really do anything good as well. It just exists in a sense. And then comes the 6, which is an okay experience. Some bad things, but a good number of good things that outweighs the bad things. And then in and of itself is an interesting concept but nothing really amazing. Rather than it being mediocre, obviously it does something good. The concept itself is interesting, and there has some good aspects of it, some good execution, whether that be some good characters or good combat or good plot progression in of itself, but majority of it is, not majority, but a good portion of the series is bad. And then comes the 7. 7 and onwards is essentially an enjoyable thing. Personal point right now, if I give this series a 7, then in my opinion it's worthy to be read or watched just anytime. You might not like it for personal reasons, obviously, but in my opinion, if I give a series a 7, it's just a good series. And then obviously that's what the 7 stands for, it's just being good, enjoyable, decent number of good things, but has some small issues. But overall, it's an interesting concept with a very, very interesting execution, whether that be interesting characters, not all of them, but a good amount of interesting characters, a decent execution to the plot progression, a good amount of themes that plays about, enough aspects that you'd expect from a series that it has that plays out well to be an enjoyable watch or read. And then comes the 8, which is just a great series. Few problems there, very, very slight, but nothing major. It's just essentially little nitpicks when it comes to something that fell down, where they could have, for example, a character that could have been developed, who was a decent character, but wasn't developed enough and missed about opportunity. And that's what comes down with 8. It's a good series and everything is decent about it, and it's very memorable and very exciting to read or watch, but there's a few missed opportunities here and there. And that what comes with after it is the obvious 9, which is an excellent series. This is just phenomenal. One thing holding it back, but more so than not, it's the enjoyment level itself. It comes to that personal bias, where it's just a phenomenal series all around, but it's just, there's not enough to it when it comes to reading it or watching it. The emotion that comes out for me while I'm reading it or watching it is just not there, not the top of the pile. But overall, it's an extremely well crafted work of art. And then comes the obvious 10. Usually these type of ratings are very rare, and I'll be very nitpicky to give these type of ratings all around, or I'll try to be. That's the plan. Essentially, a 10 is a very short jump from a 9, where every single all aspects is good, but there's just that personal bias, that certain oomph when reading the series, excitement and enjoyment throughout that read through, where it's just phenomenal. Just and essentially a divine encounter, and it's a specific rating that I only give to finished products, because it's just when it's satisfying, and when it's a satisfying read through, satisfying plot progression and pacing. It's just amazing characters as well, obviously, to boot. It's just the perfect thing. What more can you ask for in that specific instance? And that's what I give to a 10. And a lot of series that might receive a 10 usually are basically 8, 9 kind of realm series, but that personal bias to it is what jumps it up to a 10. But yeah, that's the essential rating system that I'll be using for my reviews. And the way that I structure the videos will essentially be obviously describing the series that I'll be covering, and then moving on to talk about the good things, the bad things when it comes to character, when it comes to plot, whether the plot itself is interesting or predictable, favorite scenes, the worst scenes, the emotional feel, if the conclusion itself was satisfying, did it captivate me and make me want to keep reading and binge volume after volume after volume, or did it kind of just feel like a drag when reading it, and just overall likes and dislikes, and then obviously at the end wrapping it all up with a rating. Hopefully I'll be able to follow that kind of structure for a lot of series and deviate from that structure when need be. Hopefully you'll enjoy that specific content, different kind of content. Obviously, as you can see, you see my face through it, and a bit more personal, but that's the direction that I want to take with this channel, and hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully I'll keep creating good content and showcase to you a different amount of series that I enjoy that you might be able to enjoy. I'll try to be as strict as possible when giving the specific series any rating, so that if you'd wish to read any or watch any series that I may be reviewing, it'd be fairly accurate and very detailed with the review and explaining specifically why I like it, so that you can get an idea or feel if you'd want to give it a go or not. That's the initial goal of these videos, and hopefully I'll be able to progress throughout the years to be able to deliver that in these formats. And as I said already, I do want to get back into analyzing specific arcs and the old content that I used to do, but due to the time that it needs to make these specific videos, I just don't have that currently. But as soon as I am able to, I'll be able to push those videos out. For now, I want to make these videos. The consistency of these videos will vary, all depending on how long the specific series is. I won't say specifically what kind of series I'll be reviewing next or what I'm reading to review. I want these type of things to be a surprise for you guys, so I'll just leave it at that. Hopefully you'll enjoy this new approach to the channel. I'm really excited into going in this path and showcasing you guys what I can do when it comes to reviews and improving with these reviews to become a fairly reliable source, and hopefully I can meet up to that. If you have any complaints about any specific reviews that come forward in the future, please leave them down in the comments. As I said, I do want to improve, and any constructive feedback is very appreciated. But I'll leave it as that. Hopefully, as I said, you'll enjoy the future content, and see you guys then. Peace.